It's something we all fear, and it does not discriminate. At some point, some sort of crime will probably touch your life. The question is, what would you do? How you react could make all the difference. So test yourself. Live on TV and online. This is a family-focused program. The Carolinas Crime Test.
Good evening. Here's something that's hard to ignore. Experts say there's a 99% chance that at some point in your life you will be a victim of crime.
Now, it could be a car break-in, a home burglary, or even a personal attack. Tonight in our family-focused Carolinas Crime Test, we're going to prepare you.
For the next hour, we'll show you how to avoid becoming a victim and how to react in case you do.
Now, tonight we have 6 different crime scenarios to show you, and you can interact with us over the internet, via telephone, or just sit back and watch to decide what you would do. Crime can happen anywhere, anytime. What would you do if any of these things happened to you? You get home and realize someone has broken in. You're at the ATM when somebody comes at you with a gun. A stranger asks your child to help him search for a lost dog.
It's a rare opportunity.
Someone calls saying you've won a free vacation, but then they want your credit card number. A stranger rings your doorbell and forces his way in when you answer the door. You're jogging when someone with a gun confronts you. Think hard. What would you do? Now, at any time during this program, you can let us know your answers to these questions and tell us what you would do.
And there are 2 ways you can do that, either online, on your computer, or on the telephone. We'll get to the phone in just a moment, but first, Vince Coakley joins us to tell you how you can connect with us through the internet tonight.
Well, you know, Bill, we've been collecting votes for a week now on our crime test, but if you haven't logged in yet, you can certainly do so during our program tonight. Our website address, you can see it pulled up on the screen here, www.gocarolinas.com. Now, once you log on, you'll find all 6 different crime situations laid out for you, and you can choose how you would actually respond. The test is right here on the screen. We'll keep a tally of your answers and give you the results at the end of our program. There's also plenty of other information here on crime prevention and safety. So go ahead, log on to our website if you happen to have a computer. The address, once again, www.gocarolinas.com. Debbie?
All right, thanks, Vince. We're going to check in with you throughout our program. Now, if you don't have a computer at home, there is another way that you can take part in this program tonight, and that's by telephone. Channel 9's Suzanne Stevens joins us now to explain how that works.
Debbie, obviously we do know that not everyone has a computer, but we want to give people the chance to take part in the program, so we have set up a special toll-free number that you can dial and participate as well. I want to give you the number. It's 1-800-326-1010. Now, when you call that number, you'll be walked through the 6 different questions that we have in our Carolinas Crime Test. This is an automated system, and you can vote on any of them. You could vote on all of them. It's very easy, doesn't take very long, and then we will bring you the results from the telephone participants a little later in the program. Again, the number 800-326-1010. The lines are open, and you can call right now.
All right, thanks, Suzanne. Well, now let's get on to our first question. Now, remember, you can answer these questions online or on the telephone, or you can just watch and keep track at home.
Our first question deals with something we've probably all thought about, a home break-in. Listen to the question, and then decide what you would do.
Right here at the entrance, that the door had been shaken loose enough so where they could kind of pry it open.
It happened to Robert Miller. He walked into his apartment in East Charlotte to discover someone else had already been there.
I had a camcorder that was sitting up here, mounted up here. They took that. I had like a whole row of movies. They took half of those.
The thief kept going from room to room, taking a total of $3,600 worth of Robert's valuables. But he told us that wasn't the worst part.
It really goes deeper than just the materialistics of it. It's just a sense of violation of someone actually coming into your residence.
Now to our crime test. Let's say what happened to Robert happened to you. You arrive home to discover your home has been broken into. What would you do? Would you go to the nearest room with a phone and call 911? Survey the damage so you could report it to police when you call them. Or get out of the house immediately and go to a neighbor's home and call 911. Now remember, if you'd like to answer our family-focused Carolinas Crime Test, you can do that on the internet at gocarolinas.com, or you can call in your answer at 1-800-326-1010. And remember, there's absolutely There's no absolute answer, rather, to any of these questions tonight. Your reaction will depend on the circumstances and on whether any other people are involved. But we have three people tonight to help us talk about these questions, three people who sure know a lot about crime and safety. Francis Jackson is a crime prevention specialist with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. David Denton was on the other side of the law for many years. He actually spent 7 years in prison for a string of crimes, and he's reformed now and speaking out about how to prevent crimes. And Sergeant Erwin Carmichael is with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Department. David, you say this actually happened to you back in the old days. Somebody came into a home while you were inside burglarizing. Is that right?
Yes, it did. The owner of the home came home while I was actually in the house, and I was exiting through the back door as he was coming in through the front door. So the point being that when you walk into your house upon realizing that someone's been there, you should get out as quickly as possible because they might still be there.
And what did the owner of the house do on that occasion?
As I was fleeing across the backyard, he came through the house and came out the back door, which isn't a very wise move at that point.
And why is that not a wise move? What would you say, officer?
Well, one of the first things, if you're confronted by a criminal, I mean, just as soon as you come in, you see, one of the first things the criminal's going to do when he comes into your house is normally he'll find the closest telephone, he'll set off the hook. That would kill your line. You would not be able to access 911. Right. We always teach people a way of taking care of this is just having a cell phone. Okay, you walk in, something doesn't look right, you immediately exit out of the house. You go to the next door neighbor or go back out to your vehicle, call 911.
You find a lot of people are buying cell phones just for this reason?
I think cell phones are added convenience for safety today. One thing we encourage people is to actually go an extra step and survey their home before entering. It can become a habit. Notice the doors, notice the windows before entering that residence. Each time you go return home, do so, and that way you'll notice if something is odd or out of the ordinary.
You'll hear us say a lot tonight, be observant. And this is certainly a situation in which you need to watch your surroundings, and just because you've done it 1,000 times before doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a little careful. Thank you very much. We have more crime test questions just ahead.
Most of us use the ATM at some point, and our next scenario deals with crime there. See it and decide what you would do. Also ahead, a scenario for your kids. You'll want to make sure that they're watching with you. And later, if the phone call sounded too good to be true, what would you do?
And remember, you can vote on all 6 of tonight's crime questions on our website at gocarolinas.com, or you can phone in your response at 1-800-326-1010.
We'll continue with Family Focus, the Carolinas Crime Test. This program is brought to you tonight by the Family Focus partners: Verizon Wireless, Rowan Regional Medical Center, Food Lion, and Brick Studio.
For a decade now, Food Lion has been a part of the Children's Miracle Network, raising money for sick and injured children. This year, local stores kick off Food Lion for the Children campaign, a series of community events to raise funds that will help supply resources and equipment to local CMN hospitals. You can be a part of this campaign by purchasing a paper balloon at your local Food Lion store to help the children in CMN hospitals in your community. Join more than 87,000 Food Lion employees in making miracles happen to children all across the country.
Pick out your style, pick out your color, pick out the brick that you've been looking for to build your dream. You'll make your house look like no other when you get a vision of just what your house can be. A brick studio is where you build your dream, your brick place.
Visit your authorized brick studio and pick the brick that's right for you.
Over 4 million women a year walking down the most dangerous streets in America is a lot safer than going home.
Well, where you been? Look at me. Get in here.
All the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
All the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Here at ABC News, we congratulate Channel 9 for 10 years of family focus, committed to improving the quality of life in the Carolinas.
You're watching a special live presentation from WSOC TV's Family Focus, the Carolinas Crime Test.
And welcome back. We're taking the Carolina Crime Test tonight. What would you do in a crime situation?
Well, you can take the test over the telephone at 1-800-326-1010, and I'll read all of the answers and all of the questions and possible answers for you. Or you can go to our website, and Vince Coakley tells you how to do that. He has the next question in our crime test.
Well, Deb, as you mentioned, our website is all set up for this event tonight. To take our test, just go online, log on to gocarolinas.com. It's pulled up on the screen right now, and we're going to go on to our second question. It deals with something just about all of us do, and that is to get money from the ATM. Now, what would you do if you found yourself in the midst of an ATM robbery? When you think about it, the ATM is a perfect place for a crime to happen, simply because there's money present. It happened at this Wachovia in the university area back in January, and at this BB&T on Wilkinson Boulevard last summer.
I usually don't do ATM cards because I'm just so afraid that, something like this would happen.
What if it happened to you? It's nighttime, and you must stop by the ATM. You're finishing your transaction when a man with a gun approaches you and demands your money. What would you do? Scream as loudly as possible and run to your car. Calmly give him your money and back away. Or keep him as close to the ATM as possible so the camera can get a good picture of him. And we can tell you we're getting a lot of response to our crime test. Remember, you can either log on right here, gocarolinas.com, or you can call in to take part, or you can just sit back and watch. That, of course, is fine as well. Now, I understand that Debbie is back in our studio with some more important questions and information about using the ATM.
All right, Vince, of course, we can't tell you absolutely what you should do in a situation like this. There can be all kinds of extenuating circumstances, but let's talk generally. And I suppose that one of the most important circumstances that you might want to use to vary your response would be if there's a weapon. Sergeant Carmichael?
Right. For any crime to happen, two elements always have to exist. It's intent and opportunity. And what you always want to do is take the opportunity away from them. The intent you can never take away, but if a person comes up and puts a gun to you, criminals that I've interviewed, they say if they're going to shoot you, they'll normally shoot you first and then come up and take what they want off of you. If they come up to you demanding money from you, best thing to do is give them that. We've had instances in Charlotte where someone fights back and then they're shot. So if someone is asking for property, give them the property and let it go.
All right, David Denton is our reformed criminal. You used to take money from people. What's going through your mind? Do you want to harm the person, or do you want this to just take place cleanly and get away yourself as a criminal?
Well, anytime that substance abuse or alcohol is involved, it lowers one's inhibitions. And anything's subject to happen when you're defied in that state. If someone tries to fight, you may have gone into this crime with no intention of hurting anyone, and then it escalates in a split second. You've done something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. So
you just want the money?
That's right. Just want the money. Just give me the money and I'm gone, so to speak.
All right. Officer Jackson, what do you think about screaming? Is this going to be a good defense?
Actually, when you're concerned about screaming, you got to make sure that someone is going to be around to hear the screams. If you're in a secluded area, less likely anybody's going to notice that you're screaming. So one of the main concerns that we have is if you need to alter your safety habits. If you're going to have to go to an ATM in the middle of the night, consider going to an ATM in a well-populated area. Go to into a convenience store or grocery store, anywhere where there's someone else around. You want to make sure that you're being watched as well as someone's watching you.
And also try to really go during the daytime.
Exactly. Sometimes personal safety becomes an inconvenience, but we have to always make sure that we practice safety measures.
Now, what about that camera? Is this something that you should keep in mind when you're actually trying to get out of this situation, is getting the criminal close to that camera?
Definitely not. That should not be your concern when it comes to your safety. That camera shouldn't be your concern. Obviously, if there is a good shot of that individual, then that's okay too. But definitely don't be concerned about making sure that the robber gets in the view of the camera.
Do you think that it's possible that if you keep aware at the ATM and you see someone approaching you, that would be an opportunity for you then to just get away, leave your card there if you have to, deal with it later?
Better safe than sorry.
All right. Thank you very much. And remember now, you can respond to any or all of our crime questions. Just log on to our website at www.gocarolinas.com, or you can take the test by telephone at 1-800-326-1010.
To most of us, there's nothing more important than the safety of our children. So what would your kids do if a stranger approached? Have them take our test next. And what would you do if an intruder forced his way into your home? Compare your answers to what our experts say. Plus, when a telephone solicitation becomes illegal, how to handle it as we continue with the Carolinas Crime Test.
I admit I do feel maybe a little foolish. I went out and settled for an ordinary car, but I could have had this Toyota Camry, the #1 car in America, without one single penny out of my pocket. What was I thinking? All I had to do was pick up a paper, 0 down, big in the day.
Don't make the same mistake. Choose Toyota Camry. Drive away with 0 down or save up to $1,800. Only at your Super 10 Toyota dealer.
Buy my car and I'll throw in the bag.
For over 4 million women a year, walking down the most dangerous streets in America is a lot safer than going home.
Well, where you been? Look at me. Get in here.
Here we are at Food Lion with Tammy and Nicholas, who's 3 years old, and the prices are pretty good here.
Excellent prices. Very good, very low, cheaper than most all the stores I've shopped.
Now, is it important to you to save money as a family?
Yes, very important. And that's what gets us to come to Food Lion every time.
This is the kind of store you can come in and you still can get 2 for $1. And that's a real bargain.
And how about the prices? Are the prices any good at all?
Great, yeah. The price is great.
You get more for a cheaper price, and I like that.
So you're a volume shopper.
Yes.
Food Lion has low prices.
Keep it under your hat.
All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
The Carolinas Crime Test. This is a live Channel 9 Family Focus special.
Tonight we're asking hard questions to find out how you would react if someone came at you and if you came face to face then with a criminal.
Most of our questions are for adults, but this next one is for your children, and it's a very important one. Channel 9's Kim Bratton is here with more on that.
Well, these days, unfortunately, it's almost commonplace to hear about a child being abducted, and hopefully you have talked with your children about strangers. I know I have. But in a crunch situation, what would your child do? The next question in our crime test deals with stranger danger.
For a parent, it doesn't get any scarier. And it happened on Palm Sunday 2 years ago in one of the most high-profile cases Charlotte has ever seen.
It's just sad. I mean, it's just sad. I've been putting out flyers all day long, and I just can't believe something like that happens. You know, can't even go to church.
Church, of all places. A little girl was kidnapped by a man who said he needed help bringing in flowers. In this case, the man was eventually caught. Robin Wayne Martin will likely die in prison, and the girl was found, alive, thankfully, on a roadside in Lincoln County.
She was all bound up. Her eyes were blindfolded, and she was tied up.
Now, back to our crime test. And this question is for children. You're approached by a stranger who offers you money to help him find his lost puppy. He seems very nice. What would you do? Agree to go with him, but tell him you have to be home in time for dinner. Don't say a word, run away, and tell the nearest adult you know.
Or go with them, but tell them you'd like to stop by your home on the way to tell your parents. Now, this is one of those things that you like to think your kids know how to react, but in a crisis situation, would you be right? Bill, you want to give this one to our experts?
Well, this is one a lot of parents think about. Keep your kids with you for this discussion now, because we want to talk to our experts about what to do in a situation like this, and your kids should hear this as well. Sergeant Carmichael, a tough one, because we like to give our children the idea that the world's a safe place to be in, but it isn't always safe, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. If a child, we always teach our children, if a child's approached by a stranger, there's always a possible danger. But I teach children then that not all strangers are bad. If a child needed to go up and needed help, they should be able to go up to a stranger and ask for help. But if a stranger comes to them, then there's a problem. So if they're ever approached, we always just tell them, just like the scenario said, they need to turn and run. Okay, and whenever, I know Kim and I did some scenarios when I do these classes in schools. When we do the same scenario,
family focus,
right,
yeah.
Over 90% of the children go with me. It's just because it's the education process that we have to give them.
Innocent.
They are. They are.
I was going to ask you about how children react when you put them in situations like this. And is it possible for a child to translate what they hear in a class such as a class you do and real life? I mean, does that work for children?
Oh, yes. I mean, when you teach the children, it's like they do not know. A simple thing that from a criminal that I interviewed, it's just like if you're at a grocery store and you're out walking through the parking lot and let's say mom was attacked, would that child know to turn around, run back inside and get help from mom? Or would that child stand there and watch mom get attacked because they've never been told what to do? It's an education process. We need to educate our children on what to do.
Yeah. You know, there are parents, I know that there are parents who don't want to bring this up to their children because they don't want to frighten their children. And Officer Jackson, that's an admirable thing, I guess, but it's not the right thing to do, is
That's
it?
true. That's not the right thing. I think, and talking with the child at a very early age, because young children are so very trusting, explaining to them that a person is a stranger that they do not know. It does not matter what they look like, how they react. If they don't know that person, then he or she very well is a stranger. And encouraging them not to take anything from any individuals that they don't know, no matter what the offer is. Obviously, you can lure children with items of candies and goods and so forth. So at an early age, you're gonna talk to that child about the stranger effect, and yet let them know that in case of help, in case of emergency, and they need help, they need to be able to go to someone that they can tell that they need the help from.
David, we've had stories recently in the news about people who steal automobiles and their children in the back seat, and you know, for hours it seemed like an eternity. Parents don't know where those children are, and some of those cases don't always end happily.
Right. Just recently on Channel 9 we did the special where we observed that. We saw a woman get out of her car, leave 3 small children in a running automobile in front of the store. She was setting herself up.
Here's another situation where panic comes into play, and the outcome is not predictable.
Right. There's no way to predict what might happen if you leave a running car, or and children are very trusting, but I would be inclined to agree that they should be able to go to adults if they feel that they're in danger or they need help, but they shouldn't be with a stranger if the stranger initiates the contact.
Yeah, bottom line, don't leave your kids in the car.
Right.
Yes, and I was with you on that story that we did, and we were just amazed that parents put their kids in danger like that. Not a good idea. Let's take a moment now and tell you just a little bit more about the 3 people who we've been talking with tonight. Sergeant Erwin Carmichael is with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Department. He offers self-defense training seminars to women. He's published a safety book for women as well, and he's even put out a safety video for children. Officer Frances Jackson is a crime prevention specialist with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. She's an 18-year veteran of the department, having worked on patrol, in school resource, and also in the DA's office. And for years, our third guest was on the other side of the law. But instead of committing crimes these days, he is now committed to preventing them.
So what was it that made you decide to really change?
For years, David Denton lived life as a criminal.
I was looking for victims. You know, I can't even remember. I can't remember honestly how many times I found myself sitting in the county jail.
He spent 7 years in prison. His rap sheet is 6 pages long, page after page of crimes to get money for his cocaine habit.
As a result of drug and alcohol abuse, these are the kind of things that a person winds up doing.
You were busy.
He got busy in prison, too, turning his life around. He's now drug-free, recently married, and nothing at all like the old David.
Where I used to be cold and callous and didn't care who I had to step on to get what I wanted, today I'm not that way. Today I'm loving and caring.
All right, and David, you at one time told us that you were a person of prey. Those are the words that you used when you were involved in crime. You were a person of prey. You were looking for victims. Is there one main thing that a criminal looks for when a criminal tries to decide who to victimize?
In one word, ease. You want to be in and out. Whatever the situation, you want to do it with the least amount of friction possible. You don't want to have somebody offer resistance. You want to look for the people who you can just be done.
Well, we hear about this a lot, but is it true that someone can actually look like a victim, and then that's the person you're going to attack?
Oh, yeah, that's the first cue that you get is a visual cue. The person who's not aware of their surroundings, the person who's, as we noted on the last interview, walking across a parking lot with money in their hand, not paying attention to what they're doing or who's around them. Just basically being aware of your surroundings is key.
And don't let your home look like a victim either. Make sure that you take precautions there. Thanks, David Denton. And stay tuned now. We're only halfway through our test.
Our crime test continues with more questions. What if the stranger at the door turns out to be a criminal? What would you do? And we all get annoying calls, but what if it sounds like a really good deal on the phone? Find out what you should do. And later, caught off guard, you're attacked while you're jogging. The smartest way to react coming up on the Carolinas Crime Test.
And a reminder, you can take part in our crime test by logging onto our website. The address is gocarolinas.com. We already know approximately 1,000 people have done this, 1,000 people. You can also take the quiz over the telephone if you prefer. We have the number for you. It's 1-800-326-1010. We've already gotten more than 350 calls. We are tallying the results, and we'll have them for you a little later in the program.
Thursday at 6 on Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
I'm Debbie Fabian. Every parent worries about the safety of their kids at school. Is this school in South Florida a solution?
Channel 9 Eyewitness News goes inside to show you what makes this school so different when it comes to protecting kids. Compare it to your child's school here in the Carolinas. Would this new school design help ease your safety concerns? See A Blueprint for School Safety. Thursday at 6 on Channel 9 Eyewitness News, covering the Carolinas.
Yesterday, if you went to your typical home improvement store to get laminate flooring, you'd also get glue. Gobs of glue. Today, with Lowe's selection of Armstrong Swiftlock, laminate flooring is a snap. Literally, each board simply locks together. No muss, no fuss, no glue. And all at guaranteed low prices. Could we make this any easier? Armstrong Swiftlock flooring. Only at Lowe's. Improving home improvement.
Want to know the best kept secret for saving money on groceries? Food Lion's MVP card. It's like the Smart Shopper membership card. How much do you think you save every time you come here?
About $15 or $20 a week at least.
And with this card, you can save, what?
Lots of money.
Would you give up your MVP card?
No.
Really save money with the MVP card.
If I offered you $10?
No.
If I offered you $100?
How many?
Food Lion's MVP card. That's what smart shoppers are wearing this year.
Over 4 million women a year, walking down the most dangerous streets in America is a lot safer than going home.
Well, where you been? Look at me. Get in here.
Crime affects all of us. How will you respond when it affects you? Take our test, the Carolinas Crime Test. Once again, Bill Walker and Debbie Fabian.
And tonight we're putting you to the test to find out how you would react if you found yourself right in the middle of a crime situation.
There are 3 ways you can take our crime test. You can log on to our internet website at gocarolinas.com. You'll see all the questions there, and you can give us your answers. You can also take the test on the phone. We've set up a toll-free number for that tonight, 1-800-326-1010. Or you can just watch from the comfort of your den or living room and keep track of the answers. Later in our program, we'll compare them to the votes that we get over the phone and over the internet. Now for our next crime scenario. What happens when crime invades your home?
Well, of course, home is the place where most of us feel the safest. But what would you do if you found yourself in the middle of a home invasion?
It has happened in neighborhoods all around the Carolinas. The peace and security of a home shattered by an intruder.
What's the world coming to? I mean, it's amazing that something would happen like this in the middle of the day with some neighbor's home.
In January, a series of home invasions kept residents on edge in Union and Mecklenburg counties. In all of them, the suspect used the same tactics.
Rang the doorbell, asked for directions. She didn't know where the directions were, didn't understand what he was talking about. He just forced his way into her residence. And when he got inside, he took her credit cards and cell phone, apparently disabled her phone system.
Investigators identified a suspect from this ATM photo. They eventually arrested and charged 32-year-old Neil Willoughby.
I don't know what particular motivation he may have had, whether it was just a monetary gain or a drug problem or what.
So back to the Carolinas crime test. A stranger rings your doorbell. When you answer the door, he forces his way in. What would you do? Run out the back door? Do everything he says while looking for an opportunity to escape? Or scream and attack him to throw him off guard?
Now, we've said this before, there are no absolutes in any crime situation, least of all this one. There just isn't a definitive, clear-cut answer to this question, is there? I know that you all have varying responses that you'd like to give.
Right. Well, one of the first things, I mean, when you approach a door, we recently hired someone with our office who 2 weeks before the serial killer, Henry Louis Wallace, was arrested, he was at her door, pounding on her door. As she approaches her door and puts her hand out, she said she got the most incredible gut feeling of all her life, telling her to not open the door. And she looked out and saw it was a person in the complex. And she did not open the door. And she was so upset she's not opened the door because, I mean, Southern hospitalities do what? Open the door and let them in. She's so upset she does not do this. She goes to the kitchen, calls her mom, said, "Mom, the guy in the complex pounding on my door, should I open the door?" No, do not open the door. But if you are confronting this situation, you may have to cooperate with this person.
Mm-hmm. So do you all agree you should not open the door in the first place?
Absolutely. If it is someone at the door that you're not familiar with, you don't know this person, you're not obligated to let them in. Definitely keep the door locked. Utilize your peephole, windows, whatever you have to look out before you acknowledge that person is there. And we strongly encourage letting that person know from behind the door, "I don't want what you're selling. I don't know who you are. I'm calling the police if you don't leave." You're not obligated to open the door for anyone. So
and
whatever
go
you
away,
do.
right?
Exactly.
All right. Now, if someone does get into your home, say that maybe they break in or you've left the door unlocked and they come in, what about screaming? What about fighting back? What about running out the back door? What do you think, David?
Absolutely not. Again, I would reiterate that any time that you tried to defy a person who's under the influence of chemicals or alcohol, you're running the risk of upsetting that person and compounding the problem.
So what would you suggest?
Cooperate. Do whatever, I mean, if they're asking for money or whatever, cooperate with them until such time you might find an opportunity to flee. A lot of times in scenarios like that, the person might go into the other room to check out what's going on in the rest of the house. And if you have an opportunity, again, it's not definitive here, but if you have an opportunity and you feel like there's a better than average chance to get away, then you should try it.
What do you teach women to do, Sergeant Carmichael?
Well, it's just, I had a student who went through a class, and 2 weeks after she went through the class, she was attacked, and she cooperated and had the opportunity. She went to the bathroom, and the intruder was wanting to go in the bathroom with her. He said, can I have some peace and quiet for a second? And he backed up. When she went in, she immediately locked the door, started the water, and she had an escape route, went out the window at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And you know your home better than anyone else, so you can maybe find an escape route that this individual may not know of.
No. All right. Thank you very much.
Our website has more advice on making your home safer. Vince Coakley standing by now to show us what kind of information you can find there. a lot more than we can pack into an hour-long program on television, right, Vince?
You better believe it. Anyone who's been online tonight has already found this, and it's certainly worth checking out. The address again, www.gocarolinas.com. Now, we have information on how to protect yourself at home, in your car, or on the street. There's information for kids and also for senior citizens. Now, if you've never visited our website at all, it is a wealth of other good information. We've got news, we've got weather, sports, information for your family's health, even entertainment and vacation getaway suggestions. Of course, when you're there, we hope you'll take our family-focused Carolinas crime test. We're keeping track of all the votes, and we'll bring you the results a little bit later on in our program. Once again, the address to go to, www.gocarolinas.com. You can see it there on the screen. You can also take the test on the phone, of course. Suzanne?
That's absolutely right, Vince. You do not have to have a computer. You can still take part. We've got just another half hour or so left. We have set up a toll-free telephone number for you. It's 1-800-326-1010. You will hear all 6 crime scenarios along with 3 choices then of how you would respond and what you do. It's an automated system. You just punch in 1, 2, or 3 depending on your answer. And at last check just a couple seconds ago, we had 430 callers calling in. So that's pretty good. The survey does not take very long, and we will have your responses at the end of our show. Once again, the number, 1-800-326-1010. Bill, Debbie?
All right, 400 people, Suzanne, on the telephone and more than 700 on the website before the show even started. So we thank you for your participation. Now, speaking of phones, another way that criminals can get into your home is through your telephone.
Absolutely. They can use the phone to steal your money. And Channel 9's Don Griffin is here with our next crime test question.
We all get them, those annoying phone calls around dinner times, usually a telemarketer trying to sell us something. Usually the calls are just annoying, but what would you do if a telephone solicitation turned illegal?
Good evening, sir. Is the head of the household there?
I'd like to talk to you about a great new plan.
All you have to do is give us your credit card number and Social Security.
Phone fraud. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, in part because those doing the calling are such smooth talkers.
It's a rare opportunity. You've got to sign up for this right away.
Since you are one of our preferred customers.
So what would you do? Let's say you get a call like this.
Hello?
Hi, I'm Chris from Liberty Sweepstakes Vacation. How are you today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm thrilled to share some really good news with you. You've been chosen to receive an all-expenses-paid 5-day luxury cruise vacation. How does that sound to you?
Well, sounds good.
Well, let me give you some details. This trip is absolutely free. It's at no cost to you. It's a 5-day, 4-night cruise to the Bahamas. Have you ever been to the Bahamas?
No, never been there.
Well, it's beautiful, and I think you'll have a fabulous time. What I'd like to do right now is go ahead and set up your travel plans. We'll fly you to Miami, where you'll board the ship known as Diane's Majesty. Doesn't that sound fantastic?
It sounds good.
Well, good. Let's go ahead and get everything set up. The only thing I need from you right now is a valid credit card number.
Well, I thought this was a free trip.
Well, it is. It's absolutely free. The credit card number is to secure your spot on the ship, and if you'll get that for me, we'll set your vacation plans right now.
I don't know.
Would you provide the information, but make sure you get the caller's name and phone number? Ask for the person to send you the information in the mail so you can respond later, or say no thank you and hang up. Now, this is just one of those situations that a lot of people fall victim to, especially senior citizens. So, Bill, let's turn to our experts on this one.
Okay, now, David, I know that you can give us some insight on this one because, I mean, there are people out there who just waiting for these calls. And first of all, they're too good to be true, right?
Oh, yeah. They sound so good that you get caught up in the moment, and it's hard to have good discretion at that point. But even with today's technology, that's one of the most prevalent crimes today is credit card fraud because it is, in fact, so easy.
It helps to realize the cues that are going on in a conversation like this. Did you hear the questions? Have you ever been to the Bahamas? Now, Sergeant Carmichael, that's more than a leading question, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. And that is probably something that happens to everyone in this city maybe twice a week. I mean, someone calls and says, you've just won a trip. I have never won a trip. And I always choose number 3 as far as the selection. I just say no thank you and hang up because they do. They ask for credit card information and they ruin your credit.
And, of course, once you've given them a lot of people think, well, I give my credit card out for a lot of reasons. You know, I might call and buy something over the phone with my credit card, Why does it hurt, Officer Jackson, to give your credit card number to somebody who calls on a deal like this?
You're not initiating that contact. That's the main focus. If you initiate that contact, then you know who you're calling, the business, whatever it is that you're purchasing at that time. Now, one other thing that concerns us is the solicitors for charitable donations. And obviously, when it comes to charity, a lot of people, especially senior citizens, are willing to participate. And that is a very, very big incident of fraud also.
You know, I hate to say this, but I know we've all gotten these calls from the Police Benevolent Society. Sergeant Carmichael, I'll bet you've gotten that call.
Oh, yes, I have. And I always check my sources.
What do you tell us what to do?
Well, I mean, you need to, anyone who calls with the organization, I mean, you get their name and number. I never give any information out. I just immediately say, I'll call you back.
And these are usually professional fundraisers anyway who are charged a big fee up front for their service.
My favorite answer for that is I don't give funds over the phone. I don't solicit to things over the phone. If you want to send me something in the mail, I'll be glad to look at it and consider it.
Exactly.
But another great response to one of these telephone deals is never to get as far as this man got on this phone.
Exactly.
Just
number 3.
Hang it up. Just
hang it up.
Just hang it up.
No, thank you.
Not interested.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's your right. Thank you all very much for your responses. Well, you're on a routine jog and you find yourself face to face with a criminal. What would you do? Our next crime question is coming up.
You're on a routine jog and find yourself face to face with a criminal. What would you do? Our next crime question is next.
And don't forget, you can take the test online at www.gocarolinas.com or over the telephone at 1-800-326-1010.
BuyAToyota.com. Our showroom in your home. Log on.
Oh, the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
Oh, the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
What's the latest store in town? Get the bargain you've been looking for around.
Food Lion, Food Lion. She left me for a high-priced store, and I'm alone and crying. But I will always faithful be to the discounts at Food Lion.
Come to Food Lion.
Ooh.
That'll be our #1 hit, you know.
I think so.
All right.
It's a hit.
Premium cut lumber. Quality wood products with fewer gouges and knots, less bark, warping, and twisting. Other lumber doesn't stack up. Premium cut. Quality wood products. Only at the Home Depot.
You're watching a Channel 9 Family Focus special presentation. The Carolinas Crime Test.
The next question on our crime test deals with safety while you are jogging.
And this is the time of year when a lot more folks are out, of course, jogging. Suzanne Stevens is back now to test you on this one.
Well, you know, Bill, you know I'm a jogger. I usually go out with a friend of mine around our neighborhood, and I have thought what I would do if someone were trying to attack me. I think I have a plan. But have you thought about this? What if you are out running and you find yourself in the middle of a dangerous situation?
It happened 2 months ago in Charlotte's Myers Park area. On Queens Road West, a woman was grabbed and attacked while jogging. The news made other joggers more aware.
It really scared me. I mean, it sort of made us think twice, like we came out together today. I mean, and I think we'll try to do this more often.
The woman on this street fought back and got away. But what would you do? Let's go back to our crime test. You're jogging at night when a stranger with a gun confronts you and demands that you go with him. Would you go with him but watch for an escape route, scream and run away, or try to stall for time while hoping someone in a passing car will notice?
Now, this one is a tough call because I think David said earlier in the program, you never know how the other person is going to react. So I think it'll be interesting to hear what our experts have to say about this. Deb?
Yeah, you're right, Suzanne. This is another situation with no absolutely clear-cut answer. If a weapon is involved, this always makes things very different. But I want to start with Sergeant Carmichael. I've taken some self-defense classes, and if you feel like you're equipped, sometimes it is appropriate to fight back, right?
Right, it is. And that's what we try teaching is this becomes a crime scene A or crime scene B when this person comes up and sticks a gun to you. And the criminal state, the best thing for you to do is like if you're in a grocery store or shopping mall, you should stay right there. I mean, you do not leave that parking lot. But if you have to go with them, we had the incident of a college student many years ago that was abducted, taken out of the county, and brutally murdered. From the time she was abducted to the time she was murdered, they say she dressed like driving down the road. She passed 3 police officers. She was at a red light. A police officer pulls up beside her, stops, looks over, sees her, sees the male. If she would have thought about just simple thing of ramming the police car, she'd probably be here today just because of it's the education
yeah, so
of that incident.
Take some education, take some self-defense classes, and think of what to do. David, what do you think in this situation? What if someone fought back with you?
Again, without sounding redundant, I would reiterate that you don't want to defy a person who has a gun on you. Now, each situation is different.
If there's no gun.
Right. If there's no gun and you have taken some self-defense classes and you feel like you have a chance, then I wouldn't see anything wrong with fighting back.
They might make it just a little bit more difficult for you. Maybe you'll go on to the next victim.
And again, prevention, possibly jogging with someone. That's a good deterrent because, you know, a criminal is less apt to try and stick up 2 people or do something to 2 people than they would 1.
That's a little bit more difficult.
Right.
Exactly. You're a lot safer in numbers. You're a lot safer in a well-populated area. Jogging at night, we strongly disadvise. You do not, if you need to jog at night, go to an area, a gym, a place where there's people around. You know, you're making yourself more vulnerable. The opportunity is there for anything to happen, whether it's at night in a secluded area.
All right. What else should you watch out for quickly?
The criminal state, they always look for the weak, not the strong. I mean, it's like a tiger or a lion. When it picks its prey, it never picks the biggest, the strongest, and the fastest. It will always pick the weakest, the slowest, and the easiest. That's exactly where our criminals are.
All right. Maybe you can surprise them with some brawn there that you've learned in self-defense classes, right?
Yeah.
I think those are very, very helpful. Well, Bill, it's time to check in now and see how things are going.
Sure is. And what are the folks at home saying about our crime test? We'll find out when we check the results next.
This program is brought to you by the family-focused partners, Brick Studio, Food Lion, Rowan Regional Medical Center, and Verizon Wireless.
All the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
All the world over so easy to say. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Bell Atlantic Mobile has become Verizon Wireless. Join in.
I wonder who's saving money right now. Let's go see. The prices are pretty good here.
Excellent prices. Very good, very low, cheaper than most all the stores I've shopped so far.
Hi, give me a minute. I'm reading about these great low prices at Food Lion. It's good. Do you think a lot of people come here because of the low price?
Yes, that's I think the motivator.
What about the prices here?
Prices are fantastic.
And the prices seem pretty reasonable here?
Yes, they are.
Is that one of the big reasons why you shop at Food Lion? Or?
Yes, it is.
Food Lion, prices so low, it'll make your head spin.
Over 4 million women a year walking down the most dangerous streets in America is a lot safer than going home.
Well, where you been? Look at me. Get in here.
Pick out your style, pick out your color, pick out the brick that you've been looking for to build your dream. You'll make your house look like no other when you get a vision of just what your house can be. The Brick Studio is where you build your dream, your brick maze.
Visit your authorized brick studio and pick the brick that's right for you.
Well, tonight we've shown you 6 different crime situations to test how you would react. Now it's time to check your answers.
Well, we've had folks taking the test over the internet and via telephone, so let's see how you responded. Our first question was this. You arrive home to discover your home has been broken into. What would you do? Vince Coakley, what did the internet voters say?
Well, we can tell you we had 1,200 people take this test over the internet tonight. 6% said they would go to the nearest room with a phone and call 911. 3% said they would survey the damage so they could report it to police. 91% said they would get out of the home immediately, go to a neighbor's home, and call 911. Suzanne, what did our telephone callers have to say about this one?
Vince, we had 440 people call in on the telephone tonight and take the test. Let me show you the phone results. 4% said they would go to the nearest room with a phone and call 911. Another 4% say they would choose to survey the damage first, then report to police. And pretty overwhelmingly, 91% would get out immediately, go to a neighbor's house, and call 911. Debbie, pretty clear cut from our viewers tonight. What do our experts say about all this?
All right, well, the responses were pretty much the same for the phone or via the internet. What do you all think?
I think excellent responses on that question. I'm glad to see a high number of people think that they should leave the house and call the police.
Yeah, immediately, and just be aware know where things are, and if something's out of place, get out of there. Yeah. You can always decide to go back in later, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's check your responses to our next question. Now, it's nighttime, and you must stop by the ATM. You've finished your transaction when a man with a gun approaches you and demands your money. What would you do? Suzanne, what are they saying on the phones?
Well, interestingly, Bill, we did get some varying answers on this. In an ATM robbery, 6% said they would scream as loudly as possible and then run to their car. 68% said that they would calmly give the money back and then back away. But 24% said they would keep the attacker as close to the ATM as possible so they could camera could get a good picture of him. Vince, what about people responding on the internet tonight?
Well, it looks like we had well over 1,000 people responding to that one. 3% said they would scream as loudly as possible, run to the car. 84% said they'd calmly give the man their money, then back away. 13% would keep him as close as the ATM as possible so the camera could get a picture of him. So obviously a lot of variation there. Debbie?
All right, thanks, Vince. And now let's check in the results from our next scenario. The one this was for children. You're approached by a stranger who offers you money to help him find his lost puppy. He seems very nice. What would you do? Well, 2% of our internet respondents chose the first response, and that would be agree to go with him, but tell him that you must be home in time for dinner. That was just 2% of our callers there, and 0% of our phone callers actually chose this response. Not a very popular one indeed. But 96% of the internet voters said don't say a word, run away, tell the nearest adult you know, and 96% of the callers chose that same response. So that is the most popular one there. Only 2% of the internet voters said go with him, but tell him that you'd like to stop by your home on the way to tell your parents. Also 2% of our phone callers chose that one. Not a very popular response. Now, what do you think? They did pretty good, didn't they?
100%. I mean, teaching them not to go with an adult.
Yeah,
I mean,
this one is real clear cut.
It is. It is.
Yeah. All right.
Now, next to our next situation, a stranger rings your doorbell. When you answer the door, he forces his way in. What would you do? The first choice was to run out the back door. 11% of our internet voters, 20% of people who called in on the phone, would do that. Others would do everything he said while looking for an opportunity to escape. 72% of internet voters, 55% of our phone callers, and of our internet voters, 17% would scream and attack him to throw him off guard. 23% of callers would do that. We told you that the answer to this particular scenario is not quite as definitive. There are a lot of variables with this one, and I think the responses illustrated that, didn't they?
Oh, it does. It does. With each crime, it's there are 1,000 right ways, there's 1,000 wrong ways, and if that right way gets you out of harm's way, then it was the right decision to make.
And I think the individual has to, in itself, in its own mind, decide what to do. We can't technically say do this or that, but it's up to that individual. You have to have a mindset of safety.
Yeah, some people get out of that situation by really just kind of confronting the person and saying, would you please leave my house? And right now I mean it. And that works for them. So different things will work for you. Thank you very much. And our next question dealt with another type of crime that finds you when you're at home, and that is that old-fashioned telephone scam. You receive a telephone call informing you that yes, indeed, you've won that free luxury cruise vacation. But to hold your spot on the ship, however, they need a valid credit card number. So what would you do? Let's go back now to Vince Coakley to see what folks are saying there on the internet.
Just too good to be true, isn't it? And certainly the people who were responding on our internet homepage certainly overwhelmingly responded with some very good answers here. You can see 1% told us they would provide that information, but make sure to get the caller's name and phone number. 19% would ask the person to send the information in the mail so they could respond later. It's a safe answer as well. 80% would simply say no, no thank you, and hang up. Suzanne, how about our telephone callers on this one?
Vince, we also had a split on this question. 1% of the phone callers said that they would provide the information but then get the caller's name and number. 12% said they would ask the person to send them the information in the mail and they'd get back to them. 86% said that they would say no thank you and just hang up the phone. So people on the phone, again, a little split on this one. Bill, Debbie?
Now let's find out how you responded to question 6. You are jogging at night when a stranger with a gun confronts you and demands that you go with him. What would you do? 12% of our internet voters would go with him, but watch for an escape route. The same for 16% of our callers. Would you scream and run away? 64% of our internet voters said yes. So would 52% of our phone callers. The third option was to stall for time, while hoping that someone in a passing car would notice. Over the internet, 24% of people said that's exactly what they do. 31% of you who called in on the phone said, yes, we agree with that.
I think the one thing that makes this question so difficult is that thing in there with a gun. Anytime that there is a weapon involved, you have other considerations that, you know, is that gun pointing at your back? Maybe you don't want to scream, huh, David?
Well, that's, again, defying someone who assails you at night is dangerous because you never know how far they're willing to go.
But you don't want to get in a car with this person. I mean, isn't this what you always say, that you're going to be in more danger if you go to a second location?
Exactly. You're limiting your ability to survival when you get in the car. Moving to another location, your opportunity of being noticed is almost diminishing it at that point. So trying to stay in that particular location is the best advice. Whether you're waiting for someone to pass by or just trying to get attention to draw attention to yourself, but staying at that location.
And again, how you feel about the action that you're taking is also important, I think, in this question too. If you have had self-defense chances, you might feel differently than if you had not.
You got to make a decision whether you're going to fight back or not, and it's like
making that decision. That's what it's all about.
Right.
We're out of time. We could go on and on. We want to thank you all so much for being with us, and we hope that you have learned a lot tonight. Remember, no one can tell you definitively how to react in a crime situation, but we do hope that by talking about these things tonight, well, maybe you're better prepared if something happens to you.
Thanks to all of you who voted over the phone and on the internet, and to our guests as well for their advice and insight.
And thank you for watching. Good night.
Channel 9's Family Focus, now in our 10th year of covering the issues that matter to you and your family.